when you're in pain, soothing as a springtime rain, to have a friend right in your corner, your heart will feel a little warmer. Tender loving care, tender loving care, each warm and friendly touch lets someone know you care so much. Tender loving care, tender loving care.
Good evening. We are filling in for Dr. Greenbrier Allman on his show Tender Loving Care. I'm Alicia Rapking, and I am the director of the Upshur Parish House and Crosslines Incorporated.
And I'm Ashley Cooper. I'm from West Virginia Wesleyan. I'm a We Lead member, and I'm just representing them.
I'm Joyce Harris Thacker. I've been the director for the Upshur County Family Resource Network for the last 10 years, and now I am the graduation coach for the Upshur County Schools.
And we're here this evening to talk to you a little bit about Crop Hunger Walk that will be taking place in our community on Sunday, October 18th, beginning at Jawbone Park at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Joyce and I have come before you for the last several years about this time of the year to remind you again that it's time for our Crop Hunger Walk. And to get us started tonight, I hope you will indulge me. I have a poem I would like to read. This past Sunday, Christians all over the world gathered around the communion tables in their churches to celebrate World Communion Sunday. And for me, this is always a high point of the fall because this is a time when I can imagine our brothers and sisters in Christ gathering in their own churches around their own tables, but at the same time that we do as well for Holy Communion, that we're breaking bread together and that we're taking the cup together. And so this poem not only struck me for World Communion Sunday, but also helped me to start thinking about who we are walking for as we walk for the Crop Hunger Walk on the 18th. The poem is called The Table with No Edges, and it is written by a pastor whose name is Andrew King, and he has graciously granted us permission to read this. So please listen. And you might want to close your eyes and imagine that you can see the people that we're reading about. The table with no edges. We will sit down where feet tire from the journey. We will sit down where grief bends the back. We will sit down under roofs wrecked by artillery. We will sit down where cries sound from cracked walls. We will sit down where heat beats like hammers. We will sit down where flesh shivers in the cold. We will sit down where bread bakes on thin charcoal. We will sit down where there is no grain in baked fields. We will sit down with those who dwell in ashes. We will sit down in shadow and in light. We will sit down making friends out of strangers. We will sit down, our cup filled with new wine. We will sit down and let love flow like language. We will sit down where speech needs no words. We will sit together at the table with no edges. We will sit to share one loaf in Christ's name in one world. Do you know that every day 21,000 people die of hunger? That's astounding to me. And even more people go to bed hungry at night. So, every year when the Crop Hunger Walk comes around, I walk because I want hunger to end. When I was about 25 years old, I had the opportunity to travel to other countries, particularly to go to villages where people had water projects and food projects going on to help support their families and their villagers. So I was in India for a while and visiting water projects there. But this one particular day, I was caught by this one particular woman. She was walking on a street across from me, and I was struck by the fact that she was thin and that she was struggling to walk, but even more so, she was carrying a child in her arms, and I would guess that the child was about 5 years old. In India, the folks there are beautiful people with this long, dark, gorgeous black hair. And we saw that everywhere we were. But this one particular child, her eyes were glazed over, and her hair was not that dark, glossy black hair that I had gotten used to seeing. It was red in color, not like Ashley's red, but sort of a dull red. And I learned later that that was a sign of malnutrition, that was a sign that that child was not getting enough to eat, and that child was not getting enough vitamin A. I have wondered about that mother and that child for all these years since I was 25 years old. And that's over 20 years now. I bet I think about this mother and child nearly every day. And when it comes time for the crop walk every year, that mother and that child are always in my mind. They're the ones I walk for first. And then anyone else who finds themselves in the same situation, whether it's in India or Africa or our Syrian refugees that are pouring into Europe now, or even people right here in Upshur County. There are people hungry, and we need to end hunger now. And the Crop Hunger Walk is a great way to get involved.
Well, I've been walking and assisting with organizing the walk for several years now, and I walk because I'm blessed. And there are so many others in our community and around the world that don't have what I have. It's my duty to share what I have with others and that don't have. And this is a great way to do it. You know, and as we'll share as we go on, you know, maybe more details about what your dollars do here in this community and throughout the world. You know, it is a great way to show your love for Christ, show your love for your community, show your love for people around the world, and to be a witness for Him, to do your part, small part. And that's why I'm saying we will share just, you know, when we all do our part, it can help feed the world. It'll also help feed people here in our community, because the funds that we raise, 25% of the funds that we raise stay here in our local community and through the parish house
And
the
Crosslines.
And Crosslines and the Salvation Army, our food pantries. Then people are fed. And I know Alicia can share their numbers that will astound you, you know, of the number of people in our community that are hungry and that our Crosslines and Parish House are able to feed. But 25% of our Crop Hunger Walk funds stay here in this community, and the rest go to third world countries, not just for food and to feed the hungry, because it does that, but it also provides opportunities for building cisterns where they can have fresh water. We know that that is a staple of life.
Because some people have to walk miles every day just to get water.
But we walk because they walk.
Yes.
They also, and through Church World Service, who is the provider, or
Yes.
they are the ones that the organization that does that, provide opportunities to help folks in the third world countries to plant crops and to sustain, themselves, to help themselves. And it's not just a handout, it's a hand up. But it's a way to help them help themselves. So it is a great opportunity. I count it an honor and a privilege to be able to walk annually in the Crop Hunger Walk and do my small part to help others.
I share similar stories with both of you, but this is my second year with the Crop Walk. Last year it was just a very small part and just kind of like walking and then just kind of helping up with the setup of the day. But I walked first off for the community, my local community. I now consider Upshur County, a home. But I also come from Greenbrier County, which is also very impoverished. And so I've grown up seeing, families and my friends and, my own family be, hungry and being able to walk for those people that I know personally, is important to me. And then I am a service scholar at Wesleyan, and I worked at the parish house for a year, and I'm still in and out, but I seen the people here in Upshur County and their families and the love that they share, and they're just always so happy and just so happy to see you, and I just think of those faces when I'm walking and preparing for this walk, and I just think of, well, one day I could be in that situation or someone else, and it just breaks my heart, but doing the walk helps, me, with knowing that I am making a difference, and just the small things that you can do that makes such a great difference, and knowing it's going to help the community is awesome, but also knowing it's going to go bigger. It's not just here. It's much bigger. I've also had the experience to be in a third world country. I got to travel to Africa and spend some time there, and I also seen the effects of poor water conditions and having to walk miles, and always amazed me how they carried those buckets on their head.
Yes.
We tried that once and thought I was going to break my neck, but they have to work so hard for what we just take for granted. And so if I could take one day and just, walk and, just think about every single one of those people, and just so powerful that I can do something so big.
So we've told you that the Crop Hunger Walk will be on Sunday, October 18th, beginning at Jawbone Park at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Registration will begin at 1 o'clock, and our route will take us past the parish house and onto the River Walk. And Ashley and the We Lead team that she works with have been working really hard to put together some details. So Ashley, can you tell us some of the things that you are doing to help raise awareness? How are you preparing for this walk?
It's a lot of just postering and walking around and just handing out information. We have papers and stuff that we hand out. We are also selling these cute little feet, kind of like at the grocery store when you pay $1 and then you get to write your name on it. And we're hoping that at Wesleyan to have people donate some money and sign, and then just be able to cover the wall with these feet to show, the steps. I think of them as a representation of the steps of those people that have to walk for their water and their food and stuff. So that's one thing that we're doing. Oh goodness, we're doing so much.
Can you tell us a little bit about the walk? Do you know how long it will be and where it will go?
So it's going to start at Jawbone Park, like Alicia said, and then we're going to go down Meade Street, and it will lead to the River Walk, and then so we'll just kind of circle around the River Walk and come back, and there's going to be water stations set up all along the trail, the walk, and there's also going to be a soccer game that day since it's homecoming weekend for Wesleyan. And, you know, we're just going to have like little stations and stuff so people can maybe take a breath and watch a soccer game and get a drink, and then even have some donation tables set up around there. And then we'll come back and be able to enjoy some fellowship with everyone and a slice of pizza. So
Drinks and fruit.
It's about a 3-mile walk.
Yeah.
So it's not too long. It's just the right length of walk.
And also, if you're unable to walk, and if you can come to Jawbone Park and register. There'll be rocking chairs there.
And we'll count those as steps.
And yeah, we'll count the rocking as steps, and you can wait for the walkers to get back. It's just really so much fun, and it's a celebration of this community, and it's just Marvin Carr leads us with the bagpipes as we start out on our walk, and that's just it's so heartwarming. I love the sound of the bagpipes, and that's just such a great touch, you know, to start the walk. I love that.
And we have walkers from every age imaginable. We have walkers that are really in strollers being pushed by their parents, and we have walkers that are up in their 80s. So we have walkers of all ages, and we have walkers from all of our churches in the area. Our churches support this really well. And so it's a big, fun time that gathers people of God, people who care, together, and gives us a purpose and something to do to end hunger now.
Now, if people want to get a packet ahead of time to collect monies and to have all of that, you know, ahead of time before registration, they can do that, right? They can contact the parish house and get a packet, and we'll make certain that we either take one to your church or get it to you some way, shape, or form. You don't have to have it prior to the walk, am I correct? You can just come to the walk and register and be prepared, you know, to, you know, fill out an envelope there. So you don't necessarily have to do it ahead of time, but we'd encourage everyone. If your church hasn't received one, if you're part of an organization that has not received one of these envelopes yet, you could call the parish house at 472-0743. We'll make sure that you get one of these, and we would just encourage everyone to participate and help with the walk.
And another way that you can do this is to go online to crophungerwalk.org. Just make sure that's right.
Yeah.
Crophungerwalk.org.
Yes.
And on the page is a map. And if you click on West Virginia, the Buchanan Crop Hunger Walk will pop up. You can click on that, and you can register your team, or you can encourage people all over the world to make donations to support you or your team. And they don't even have to write a check or send money. It will be credited to our walk and will go into the total, for which 25% stays right here in Upshur County.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, folks can look for some of these signs.
Yes.
We'll have those posted. Ending hunger one step at a time, the Crop Hunger Walk. So you can look for these signs. We'll have these posted along the walk path as well. So look for those. Those are always good indicators that you are in the right place.
So can we tell them a little bit about what the money that is raised will go toward?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, just imagine you raise $50, and that can just fund a community garden for a family, and that doesn't just, it's like the tools and the actual seeds and the education on how to sustain that. $110 can give emergency food supply to families of 5 for one whole month. Like, I know that I can go through $110 like that at the grocery store, so that's just amazing to me.
For a family of 5.
Yeah, I mean, just 5 people, so that's amazing. $300 can provide 15 biosand filters that can help filter out diseases in like the waters and supplies. 525 can provide 7 raised planted beds of nutrient-rich soils and gardening tools. So this is going to be bigger than the $50. Like it's going to be able to sustain a garden for well, a good start forever. $1,000 can support 10 women in a small grant to jumpstart their businesses. So in the third world countries, a lot of women just have to make clothing and make just different handmade things, you know, necklaces and jewelry and things. And so this is going to help them to be able to start their businesses to actually start sustaining their families. $3,000 can install 3 water pumps and train local residents to maintain them in their community. So this is going to be a really life-saving. Water pumps are just huge need. So that's just...
It's something I wanted to see if Alicia would like expound on, the nutrition packs.
Yes.
And I wondered when we were talking about the emergency food, if that was part of the emergency packs of food.
Well, it was interesting this morning in chapel at Wesleyan, the We Lead team talked about crop to try to get some excitement going at Wesleyan. Did a really good job, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Really appreciated being there. But one of the things that they showed, which unfortunately I don't have with me tonight.
We're going to do another show.
Yes,
though, right?
we'll do next week's
We'll
show as well.
bring
So
one of
we'll
those packs.
try to bring some. But anyway, there are packages of about, probably an inch square. And in those packages are minerals and vitamins that can be that can sustain a person for a day. So 1 packet per person per day. So what did they do with this? They can sprinkle it on their food and eat it that way, or dissolve it in clean water. It has to be clean water. And that can sustain a child or an adult for a day. And these packets are amazing to be able to distribute in villages around the world where food is just such premium, where there's not a lot of food. And I was interested, whoever was explaining it this morning said these packets are under $1. They're actually 3 cents a piece. So if you can imagine a packet, 3 cents, 30 of them sustaining a person for a whole month, that's not a lot of money at all. And that's one thing Church World Service, through crop walks, are able to distribute in third world countries where there's just not enough food to go around. And Ashley, could you expound a little bit on that? Again, we don't have the card, but the card that was passed around this morning that had the hole in it.
Oh yeah, so they're just informational cards about Crop Walk, but they have a circle, and that's about the size. I think
About
it's
an
1.
inch.
Yeah, it's 1 to 3 inches to represent the size of a malnutrition child, and the average is, I think, 3 to 5 or
It's 7 inches.
5 to 8
A child,
is average.
a 10-year-old child who is well nourished has an arm size of about 7 inches.
So these show just how small a child's. I mean, it was like I couldn't imagine. I just kept thinking like, if they would fall down, which children do because they, you know, especially not being able to walk very well at young ages. If they were to fall, like they would just break them. They're just so tiny.
Very
I mean,
fragile.
1 to 3 inches, like just so small, and just to know that 3 cents a day could help, you know, bring that child some nutrition was just mind-blowing to me.
I've seen some of the films that Kathy Clark has showed when, you know, in years past with the crop walk, and as we were preparing, that they've brought, you know, many children out of poverty, of where they've been completely malnutritioned. with those little packs.
Well, a child in particular can get sick so easily from malnourishment and can then become dehydrated from diarrhea. But one of those packets is amazing, and one day can turn a child's life around. And, you know, I think about the low cost of that one packet, and I think it's a sin for us not to do something.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, hunger and malnutrition is the #1 killer of children in the world, and it's just sad that it should not ever be. It should never be. So.
Well, I will say it again: 21,000 people die of hunger every day. That's more than the population of Upshur County. That's a lot of people. And then so many others get sick and whose lives are compromised just because they don't have enough energy.
We've talked a lot about raising the money, but I think awareness and getting the word out there to people about how, you know, important it is to help. So if you can't actually raise any money or donate anything, that's okay. We want you there anyway. We want, you know, just to show your support and to get the word out there. You know, you can see the impact that it's going to make, and just walking or just rocking in that wheelchair is just as important as any dollar, you know, could raise. So,
well said.
Yes, very well said.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else you want to add before we close for the day?
I would just encourage everyone to attend on October the 18th. Registration's at 1 o'clock at Jawbone Park. Walk starts at 2 p.m. Please come out and join us and be a part of this great effort.
Anything, Ashley, you want to?
No, I just want to thank you, you know, the opportunity to be here and be a part of putting Crop Walk on and making a difference in our world. So,
if you want more information, and there may be questions that you might have, you're welcome to give us a call at the Parish House, and that number is 472-0743, or go online, check out the web page, CropHungerWalk.org. Thank you, Ashley. And there on that page, not only can you register for the walk or make a donation, there's history too that you can find out. The crop walks have been going on since 1961, so that's a long time. As we close today, I'd like to close with a prayer. I think that just a prayer for folks who are in need and for our crop walk. So let's pray. Boundless God, help us to see the world differently, not with our own limited vision, but with the gaze of love and justice. Give us the foolishness to believe that we can change what the world says is impossible, and when we lose sight of the power of love to change the world, increase our faith. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. For Joyce and Ashley, I'm Alicia, and I hope we'll see you at the Crop Walk on Sunday, October 18th at 2 o'clock at Jawbone.
Stories of a West Virginia Doctor, written by Dr. Harold D. Allman. A collection of 55 short stories about his experience as a small-town doctor in central West Virginia. And Tender Loving Care. Stories from a West Virginia Doctor, Volume 2, written by Dr. Greenbrier Allman, using videotapes to write 70 additional stories of his father's very colorful life as a small-town doctor. They can be found for purchase at Amazon.com and most local bookstores. Tune into Channel 3 Buckhannon for Tender Loving Care with Dr. Greenbrier Allman, where he talks about the connection between Christianity and medicine.